Our story kicks off way in the future, in the year 2121, in a world that, let's face it, has seen better days. After a nuclear war did a real number on the planet, humanity now gets by however it can in fortified cities, the only safe spots left. And that's where we meet our main character tearing up the pavement on his bike when, out of nowhere, a gigantic creature decides to show up. Leaving these safe cities is basically a one-way ticket to getting wiped out for anyone who isn't tough as nails. But our hero continues on his way, without showing a hint of fear. The world outside was completely wrecked by nuclear energy and is now a pretty weird place. Suddenly, a giant mutant praying mantis appears between the buildings, eyeing our buddy. These insects have mutated into nuclear beasts, the true nightmare of the human race. The creature doesn't waste any time and charges straight for our MC, ready to slice him up with its claws. Without a second thought, the dude leaps off his bike and whips out a sinister-looking blade, glowing with some seriously sketchy purple energy. He then flies toward the nuclear beast, totally ready for the throwdown that's about to happen. The young man adjusts himself in mid-air, aiming for a direct hit right in the middle of the big monster. And at a mind-blowing speed, he slices the creature multiple times with his energy weapon. After dispatching the threat, he lands cool as a cucumber, because in this world, my friend, only the strongest survive. To handle the heat around here, you need to be stronger and more ruthless than these mutant creatures. But the struggles of this world go way beyond these critters we've seen so far. Just then, a guy in a suit in an armored car pulls up right next to our main character. The white-haired young man seems to be tailing the vehicle for a very specific reason. He then shows some kind of card to the gentleman behind the wheel. Looking at the photo, the driver confirms that's the mansion he needs to go to. The two of them share a sly little grin, since tonight's event promises to be a good one. Suddenly, the old man appears outside the car, totally confused by the situation. And in the next scene, we see the man in the suit all tied up while our hero stares at him coldly. The young man then takes his clothes and puts on a mask to pull off his disguise. All dressed up, he approaches the door of the mansion he saw in the photo. He opens the door and enters the mysterious place, which looks like pure luxury on the inside. As soon as he steps inside, a woman points a gun at his head, no questions asked. She wants to know who he is and what he's doing there, since she's never seen him before. Right after, another woman shows up and warns that if he takes one more step, they'll take care of him. As calm as can be, the young man puts his hand in his pocket and tells them to take a closer look. He then shows a golden object, and the women are completely floored by it. The receptionist recognizes the item immediately and says he's a very special VIP guest. The young man says he came to have a good time and that they'd better not ruin his night. Hearing this, the two of them welcome him to the place known as the Desert Eden. One of the women then uses a card to open the passage and guides him inside. The two of them bow and wish him a wonderful visit. The masked man then walks alone down a dark hallway toward a giant door. The enormous double doors begin to open, revealing what's inside. This so-called Desert Eden is actually a secret club that has gotten pretty famous recently. The crowd that hangs out here is either a regional big shot or someone who's filthy rich. And what attracts all these powerful people are the special services offered at the place. All the guests are gathered, looking at the stage where a girl appears. A host welcomes them and keeps it real here. The only thing that matters is money. With a sinister smile, she promises that with money, they'll have the time of their lives. She pulls back the curtain, showing what was hidden behind it. The host announces the start of an auction, and several girls are brought onto the stage for the audience. The products, as they're called, are hand-picked and promise a unique experience for the buyers. The hostess then encourages the guests to spend their cash without a second thought. Yeah, the house's special service is illegal auctions involving people, but believe me, the rabbit hole goes way deeper than that. Meanwhile, a woman with white hair approaches our hero and asks why he's all alone. She then questions if he's not interested in the products being displayed on stage. With a look of disdain, the young man says it's boring and asks if there's anything more exciting. The woman smiles and says he's a man of taste, and that to get access to something better, he needs to qualify. Without a word, he shows her the golden object he used to get in. The woman is in shock when she sees it, and the young man asks if that's qualification enough. She apologizes profusely for not recognizing his status and invites him to follow her. The two then go up the stairs, leaving the crowd behind, which continues with the auction. The woman then leads our MC to a private room, opening the door for him. The masked man enters and finds himself in a luxurious room with a giant bed in the center. On the bed, a girl with pink hair introduces herself as Xiao Mei and says she's 18 years old. Haired woman presents the girl as a high-quality item and asks for his opinion. With a little smirk, our hero replies that she's not bad at all. The escort then says goodbye and tells him to enjoy his private time with the girl. The MC thinks to himself that he's finally found a top-tier product. Xiao Mei offers herself to him, saying that from now on, she's his exclusive pet. He then gets closer to her and asks what that kind of talk is all about. The pink-haired girl calls him naughty, and asks why he's still playing dumb. The young man then leans over the bed, playing along with her game. Lying down, she says she's all ready to start the game. He suddenly gets up and says he found the whole thing too plain and boring. Surprised, she asks if he doesn't like it when she takes the lead. At that moment, she questions if he prefers it when she's a little more bold. The girl promises she'll be super obedient and acts submissively. She whispers that if she's not a good girl, he can apply a, let's say, more intense correction. With an enigmatic smile, he asks if she's into more demanding methods of discipline. The young woman, with a provocative look, replies that she loves to feel the touch of her master's instrument. He just says, "Good," and firmly pushes her away, his expression now serious. Our hero reveals a real whip, which he had kept hidden the whole time. He then challenges her to try the real deal, taking an attack stance. Without hesitating, he lands a powerful blow, drawing a sharp scream from the girl. She asks why he hurt her and says she won't be able to serve him if she's all damaged. He replies coldly that she should be able to take it after all, her kind doesn't give up easily, unless they're taken out for good. And to top it all off, he calls him Miss Beast Woman, leaving the poor girl completely in shock with the revelation. Furious, she demands to know how he found out and asks if he's one of those necrophages who hunt her kind. The young man then rips off his disguise, revealing his true hunter look. He mocks her, saying he's a premium member, and that her scent and body temperature gave away her disguise. She switches tactics on the spot, and all sweet and seductive, says that since he's an important guest, she'll serve him very well. Her arms transform into claws and she hugs him, saying she just wants to make him comfortable. But our hero isn't messing around and flings her away with the whip just as she reveals her true monstrous creature form. The creature goes flying, and our MC is already gearing up for the next round, not giving her a moment to breathe. The creature, all confused, wants to know who he really is and how the heck that whip was able to break her disguise. She sizes him up and thinks, geez, this guy has all the makings of a rookie necrophage, so she doesn't get how a newbie like him has such a wicked weapon. He calmly replies that he's just a regular hunter who took the mission to wipe them all out. Full of himself, the young man even cuts her some slack and tells her to call her little friends, since fighting the whole crew at once would save him some time. The beast gets furious with his attitude, but she knows that if her friends show up, it'll be a different story. And as if on cue, a stylish, high-heeled boot enters the scene, announcing that the cavalry has finally arrived. The employees of the club show up, revealing they are also disguised beast women. One of them, wearing a blindfold, comments that she thought he'd be a tough nut to crack, but in the end, he's just a kid. The white-haired one, from the reception, offers a hand, since the young man seems to be more than her colleague can chew. The first receptionist we saw, the one at the door, warns the group not let their guard down, because the guy is a necrophage. As for the pink creature, the one called Jiao Mei, she transforms even more and warns that just using claws won't do anything against a prepared hunter like him. She then brags, saying that other necrophages who tried their luck before didn't even stand a chance. Another beast, with a sort of bee vibe, scoffs that he's all alone and looks like a lost rookie. They agree to wrap this up quickly, because there's a huge feast of people waiting for them outside. Then the whole squad charges at our hero together, shouting for him to go meet his maker. Our hero faces the 5 giant monsters and, with complete calm, says that them attacking all at once will only make his job easier. And just like that, he pulls out a talisman that begins to glow with a potent golden energy. The young man then activates the mysterious item, preparing to unleash a wicked ability on the creatures. The talisman's energy, now flowing blue, is channeled directly into his whip, which begins to glow intensely. And then he unleashes a devastating electrical attack that hits all 5 monsters at once, frying everyone. One of them goes flying and, all banged up, wonders how a simple hunter can use special abilities of this level. Lying on the ground and completely thrashed, the pink creature admits that, in the end, she underestimated the guy and messed up big time. Our hero stands tall, just watching his enemy stretched out on the floor, with no chance of continuing the fight. He then explains that it wasn't his own special ability, but the power of an overpowered magic item. The young man comments that it was worth spending an expensive lightning talisman like that to take out 5 enemies at once. Out of nowhere, another hunter enters the room and his jaw drops at the scene, all the creatures defeated on the floor. The man and his group get the heck out of there, screaming in terror that there are beast women having a snack on the clients. It turns out these 5 pests were luring people there with the promise of special services. Behind the scenes, they were also devouring some of the clients who went there looking for a good time. These beast women are much more evolved than common nuclear beasts, being as intelligent as humans. Our hero introduces himself as Liu Xing and says his mission was simply to eliminate the beasts from the premises. He then removes the nuclear cores from the defeated creatures, an extra reward for the successful mission. In this world, hunters are managed by a guild and handle all sorts of problems. Most of them are new humans. A bunch of people who awaken powers because of the radiation. Besides having their physical attributes beefed up, they can also awaken superpowers. Liu Xing confirms he's a new human, but his special ability is way outside the box. After finishing the job, our MC hops on his bike and gets out of there. In a quick flashback, we see he was an orphan who used to get beaten up and go hungry to survive. Until one day he met his savior, the captain of his necrophage team, Fan Xiaoyu. She discovered he was a new human and invited him to her team, the Twin Leopards. After grinding hard in training, he reached C rank, but he's still a long way from the S rank top dogs. He found a way to get stronger using weapons that, let's just say, don't belong to this world. Back in the city, the young man parks his bike in front of the building where he lives. To ensure his safety, he locks the door with a chain, a heavy-duty padlock. Our hero enters his room, a very simple place, which is the complete opposite of that luxurious mansion. The young man sits in the corner of the room, holding a green object that glows brightly. He slowly closes his eyes and passes out after a seriously exhausting day. His eyes snap open, and now one is purple and the other is yellow. This is his special new human ability, which allows him to travel to another world. This place is completely different from his original world and is known as the immortal realm. Unlike the apocalypse, in this bizarre world, it's possible to cultivate immortality. A little floating girl appears and asks if the sect master has finally woken up. Our hero, now in different clothes, says the mission was a success and that he collected a bunch of materials. He remembers that one moment he was sleeping in the desert, and the next, he woke up in this crazy place. Even though he's traveled here before, he still finds all of this a bit unbelievable. To explain how this whole mess started, he needs to go back a few months in time. The scene then takes us to a dark place with a pile of people who've kicked the bucket under a red sky. On that day, he had fallen asleep in his house, as usual, unaware of what awaited him. But when he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a weird-looking place and wondered where the heck he'd ended up. It was at that moment that Liu Xing realized he had been transported to another, completely different world. At first, he thought he was just having a nightmare about everything he saw around him. But the strong smell of the bodies was so real that it made him sick to his stomach. To his surprise, his hunter bracelet came along and was still working perfectly. However, in the next instant, something even more bizarre appeared right in front of him. He saw an ancient building floating covered in strange spikes, a truly otherworldly scene. At that moment, a sharp headache hit him, and the memories of the body's original owner started popping up. He discovered that this world's spiritual energy ran out and was replaced by an evil energy. With that, various demons and monsters began to hunt people, leaving a trail of destruction. And the methods of the remaining cultivators were even more sinister to maintain their power. The former owner of this body was a disciple of the Ascension sect, and his job was to dig for treasures. Common people couldn't stand up to the cultivators, so all they could do was obey. The Ascension sect's master seemed to be a righteous guy who was protecting his lands. But in reality, he saw his disciples as livestock for his own cultivation and power. The master would extract his followers' souls and even call this act a blessing for them. Some disciples with a higher aptitude for cultivation became material for making ascension pills. Thus, many disciples were sacrificed and their bodies were simply discarded in the desert. Shocked, he wonders if this is the way of cultivation in this world and understands that he reincarnated into someone else's body. Suddenly, his headache returns and he questions if more memories are coming. In a memory, an elder tells the young Liu Xing that in the old days, there were countless master cultivators. Back then, powerful practitioners were as common as clouds in the sky. The cultivators of today would be nothing more than mere apprentices in the past. The sect master of that era was so incredible that even demon kings came to learn from him. But the good times ended, and one day the spiritual energy ran out and the sky practically collapsed. To preserve the sect, the master of that time used a secret and forbidden technique. This technique protected the main hall, but the sect was buried, waiting for someone to revive it. However, with the end of spiritual energy, evil energy spread throughout the land. In place of the old ones, new cultivators emerged who used demonic methods to gain power. Because of this, today's world is called the immortal refining domain, and evil prevails. The elder says the boy is the last descendant of the sect, and that he must awaken it one day. Too bad the original owner got caught before finding the entrance, so the inheritance is all his now. The elder instructs him to find the sect's ruins and use a bracelet to open the passage. Back in the present, the young man follows the instructions in search of the ruins' location. He then realizes that the description perfectly matches the pile of bodies where he first woke up. Suddenly, his necrophage bracelet beeps, detecting strong nuclear energy underground. With this new clue, he starts searching through the pile of bodies for the source of the signal. Just then, he finds a well and both bracelets react, indicating the entrance is through there. As he descends, the resonance gets stronger, confirming he's on the right path. But the people buried there have turned into monsters and try to grab him, making the descent difficult. Finally, after a long walk, he reaches the bottom of the mysterious well. The bracelet's alarm is beeping like crazy, and he stares at a dark hole in front of him. At that moment, skeletal hands begin to emerge from the darkness of the terrifying hole. With wide eyes, our hero realizes something is approaching. From the darkness then emerges a giant and very scary skeletal monster. With no time to waste, the young man gets into a combat stance, ready for a fight. With a swift move, he charges forward and lands a powerful punch on the creature. He remembers the tapping pattern the elder taught him and recites the incantation, touching the skeletal creature. At that, the skeleton's eye begins to glow intensely with a very bright light. The giant monster and the smaller ones are enveloped in a blue energy and disintegrate. The skeletons become floating skulls with blue flames, which circle around him. The skulls begin to spin rapidly, forming a type of portal. He understands that the monster was the guardian, and that the portal is the entrance to the ancient sect. With a smile, he figures out that the jade bracelet is the key to enter the portal. Without hesitation, our hero runs and jumps directly into the mysterious portal. His foot passes through the portal, and he is transported to the other side of the passage. Inside the portal, we see several purple skulls coming together and exploding with energy. A skeleton meditates in the middle of the purple energy, absorbing all the power for itself. The energy then transforms and covers the skeleton with a shiny, golden armor. The transformation reveals a golden being with many arms, looking like an ancient deity. Finally, the young man reaches his destination, on the other side of the mystical passage. He now finds himself inside a structure with a very ancient look. Our boy has read about cultivation worlds, but seeing it with his own eyes is much more shocking. Suddenly, his bracelet starts to glow with a red light, and he wonders what's happening. Then, a red energy comes out of his hand and flows toward the large building in front of him. The energy then transforms into the little floating girl he met before. The small creature then launches a wave of golden energy toward our hero. The energy completely envelops our MC's body, who stands still. The girl calls him Sect Master and says that he saved the Heathen and Earth sect. Confused, he asks why she called him that, and she says she'll explain the situation. She explains that she is the spirit of the sect's formation, and that a part of her was sealed in the bracelet. In the Golden Age, the ancient sect master created a cultivation method that mixed the immortal and the demonic. But the evil energy corrupted beasts and cultivators, who lost control and attacked. At the critical moment, the sect master had to intervene to save everyone from the chaos. With just 2 moves, he used the spiritual cleansing mantra to turn the tide. He used the sacred word break technique to end the threat. With that, the giant golden statue crushes the enemies with a devastating and explosive punch. The first move of the technique was the light of the righteous path, which wiped out most of the demons. The second move used the demons themselves to clean up those who survived the first wave. With a command, he orders the great demon emperors to drag the others back to where they came from. And with just those 2 strikes, he almost annihilated the entire first wave of evil demons. Even being so powerful, he couldn't handle the absurd number of enemies. In the end, the sect master had no choice but to seal the immortal refining valley. To do this, he sacrificed his own soul and blood, activating a formation that sealed the entire sect. Thus, the main hall was sealed underground, with the souls of the disciples dormant inside. The ancestor of the body's original owner was on a mission and couldn't return in time. He received the sect master's decree to survive and, one day, revive the immortal valley. Now that Liu Jing has awakened the little immortal, he has naturally become the new sect master. But, to revive the sect, he needs to gather spiritual energy, which is impossible in this world. Fortunately, the reaction of his necrophage bracelet gave him a very bold idea to solve this. He theorizes that nuclear energy and spiritual energy can be exchanged in some way. The young man then wonders if he could bring the nuclear crystals to this world, and if he can return. The little immortal asks if he's okay. He says he's tired and asks for a place to rest, and she guides him to a room. Before sleeping, he asks the little immortal to protect him, and she accepts the command. In a safe place, he finally falls asleep after so much tension. Suddenly, his eyes open again with the usual yellow and purple colors. Upon waking up, he realizes he has returned to his original world, and the jade bracelet came with him. With this, he comes to 2 conclusions: he can travel between worlds by sleeping, and he can take objects with him. So he tests his theory by holding a nuclear crystal and tries to take it to the other world. Soon after, his assumption is confirmed, and he shows the crystal to the little immortal. As expected, he can bring anything he touches to the cultivation world. With this energy, she says they can activate the sect's most important artifact, the Cauldron of Rebirth. The floor opens up, and a large magic circle summons the Cauldron of Life for them. The little immortal explains that the cauldron can be reactivated with spiritual energy. With the cauldron, he can forge new bodies for the souls of the disciples that were sealed. Our hero then orders them to activate the cauldron to bring one of the disciples back. The little immortal says that his luck will decide which disciple returns, and the young man finds that interesting. She doesn't understand what he meant, but remembers she needs to warn him about something important. At that moment, a fire phoenix emerges from the cauldron, and the disciple's body is almost ready. The fire creature then flies toward him, and the little immortal warns him to be careful. Our hero is impressed by the speed of the fire phoenix and prepares for the impact. Without any fear, he extends his hand and manages to catch the approaching flaming creature. He then grabs the neck of the new disciple, who is engulfed in flames and has black wings. The woman has a dark appearance and stares at the sect master with a very intimidating look. Her body is covered in fire marks, and she seems to have great hidden power. The disciple questions how he doesn't fear her fire and asks who he really is. She then sees the jade bracelet on his hand and is shocked, wondering who he could be. At that moment, the little immortal tells the new disciple to respect the young master, and he welcomes her. The newcomer is still suspicious, as she remembers the old master drained his power and was gone. She then theorizes that he might be the master's reincarnation and decides to test his past. With majestic purple wings, she asks for what reason they woke her from her slumber. Our hero replies with a smile that it's for her to join and help revive the sect. But the woman responds with disdain that she has no interest in participating in something so boring. The little immortal becomes furious and threatens her for disrespecting the sect master. Then, the disciple yells for her to get lost and throws her away with a fire blast. She says that her fate is her own and that no one will control her in this life. At that moment, the young man's bracelet glows, and a chain of energy shoots out of it. The chain then traps the rebellious disciple and electrocutes her with immense power. With the woman defeated, the little immortal is surprised that he knows the Yang curse. He explains that upon entering the hall, the bracelet resonated with the souls sealed there. The little immortal then remembers something important she needed to tell him. She reveals that all the sealed disciples were actually powerful demons and monsters. At that, he understood that the old master needed an ace up his sleeve to control them all. He saw the chain being transferred to the new body and was certain of his theory. The young man says he just pulled the bracelet by accident and activated the curse by chance. The disciple then introduces herself as Fire Crow, a fire spirit that gained a human form. The young man says she's just an artifact spirit and threatens to turn her back for being useless. Desperate, the disciple explains that she was a high-grade immortal artifact for refining items. She then offers her sealed magic treasures, begging the master to accept them as proof. But our hero and the little immortal are not impressed by her sincerity and say their goodbyes. At that, the woman promises that if she has spiritual energy, she can refine even more treasures for him. The young man then pretends to give in and agrees to give her a single chance to prove her worth. Back in the present, the sect master opens the door for the two with a bag of crystals. Asks Fire Crow if the spiritual energy from those nuclear crystals is enough. The disciple is amazed by the amount of energy and notices the stone is different. With the crystals in hand, she finally has the chance to refine treasures once again. So she says to start immediately and prepares to use her fire abilities. The woman uses her fire refining technique to start working on the crystals. Her hands together and engulfed in flames, she shouts to activate all her refining power. The crystal is then consumed by her energy to be transformed into a new treasure. In the end, she prides herself on having refined the celestial talisman of the blue shadow falcon. The young man analyzes the talisman and, from the name, deduces the item can activate flight powers. The disciple then replies that to get better treasures, they need to increase the spiritual energy. She uses her treasure refining art in a super version to create something new. This time, she shows that she managed to refine a shiny and very mysterious seed. The little immortal recognizes the seed and says that its plant is very delicious. Suddenly, the fire disciple falls to the ground, looking weak and out of energy. She explains that she's hungry and that refining treasures consumes a lot of energy. At that, the woman ends up fainting from hunger in our MC's arms. He holds her and says it looks like she fainted from hunger and he'll take her to rest. The little immortal warns that she will recover. But the food problem needs to be solved. The disciple is then put to rest while they think of a solution. The young man remembers that he already tried to bring food to the other world, but the experiments failed. He says that without solving the hunger issue, he can't revive other disciples, but she has an idea. The little creature says that even without understanding, she will carry out whatever the master decides. Suddenly, the cauldron shakes violently, and she explains that two disciples are returning. From the cauldron, then emerge two dragons, one white and one purple, who are fighting each other. The young man then uses his yin-yang curse, and energy chains trap the two dragons. With a furious shout, he orders the two to stop fighting immediately and obey. The dragons then transform into two women, who continue the fight by pulling each other's hair. Suddenly, a fireball comes out of a room, and a woman asks how she can sleep with so much noise. The fire disciple sees the two new girls and joins the chaos with an irritated look. She then recognizes one of the new disciples and asks, surprised, if it's really her. Our hero and the little mortal are confused, not knowing who the two newcomers are. The fire disciple explains that they are the famous sisters of the dragon clan. Apparently, the two are like fire and water, and even revived together, they've already started a new fight. The little immortal tells the two to stop fighting, and thank the master for reviving them. At that moment, the sisters are surprised to hear the word master, and look at the young man, confused. One of them approaches and touches his chest with an expression of admiration and surprise. She comments that he is extraordinary and feels an intense spiritual energy in his body. She offers to help him in his cultivation, as she is the most proficient in techniques. Haired woman offers to teach him a special, dual cultivation technique. At this, the other sister gets furious and punches her, saying the master doesn't need her teachings. The red-haired one brags about being the sect's top assassin and says she is the one who will teach him. She also offers herself for that special dual cultivation technique she knows. Firecrow then suggests they can do it together or fight to see who wins. At that, the two sisters start fighting again to decide who gets the master. The young man gets annoyed with the fight and tells the two to stop arguing immediately. He says the food problem is more important and proposes a challenge with the seed. The red-haired one recognizes the item and says it's an extremely rare treasure to see. According to legend, the tree needs to be buried in evil soil to absorb the essence. Then, the blue-haired one interrupts and says the explanation doesn't end there and has more details. The plant needs both spiritual and evil energy to grow, and that's why it's so rare. She adds that she heard the fruit improves cultivation and even grants divine abilities. The sect master thinks that spiritual energy is easy, but the evil soil will be a challenge. He remembers that the sinister realm is full of evil spirits, but he hasn't found any before. He then asks the little immortal to arrange a place for the three of them to rest. The young man needs to return to the apocalypse to collect more crystals and refine treasures. With his plan in mind, the young sect master finally falls asleep in his room. Suddenly, the silhouette of a woman in high heels enters his room. The shadow with red eyes approaches him as he sleeps peacefully. Back in his world, he wakes up and sees he has a message and missed calls from the captain. A hologram of her appears, asking why he isn't returning her calls. The young man then goes to the Necrophage Guild building to meet his captain. He presses the intercom and wonders if something serious happened for her to call so many times. Facial recognition confirms his identity and the door opens for him to enter. As he opens the door, a shower of food boxes and trash suddenly falls on top of him. The young man despairs at the mess and shouts his captain's name out loud. He then sees the woman passed out on the sofa with the room a total mess and asks if she's okay. Woman named Fan Xiaoyu turns around and asks what he's doing there. He replies that she said she had something good for him, and the captain looks at him seductively. The captain gets thoughtful and stretches on the sofa with a very lazy expression. She sits up and seems confused, wondering what good thing she could have for him. Suddenly she remembers and says with a smile that she landed a very big job. She brags about getting a great job and seems very proud of herself. Since she's very busy, she offers the opportunity to him as a form of training. The woman hugs him and promises the reward will be generous and that they'll split everything. At that moment, the captain says that as a member of the strongest necrophages team, he can't be bad. With a determined smile, our hero says he wants to take the opportunity to upgrade his gear. The captain agrees with the idea and gives a thumbs up with a smile on her face. He then asks her to sponsor some funds and looks at her with a hopeful expression. The woman thinks for a bit about his request with a very serious look on her face. With a cute smile, she replies that, of course not, she doesn't have any money to give him. She explains that her new human ability is a superhuman physique and that she doesn't need equipment. The young man then insists and asks for a little money, as he heard her salary is quite high. The captain sighs and calls him knave for believing the rumors he heard. She explains that gaming equipment is more expensive and that she needs to buy new stuff every month. Besides, a new console is being released, and she's worried she won't have the money to buy it. The young man remembers that the captain is an internet addict and a hardcore gamer. He realizes he can't count on her for this, and will have to figure something out on his own. Even without money for gear, he never refuses the missions the captain gives him. Since he was a child, his parents had passed away from starvation, and he survived by getting food from the trash. He was captured by the Rust Plague gang during a turf war. One of the gang members caught him and decided to train him as a child soldier. However, during a robbery they were attacked by a nuclear beast, and everyone panicked. But the creature didn't eat him, and he was the sole survivor of the massacre that occurred. From then on, he continued to survive by being a difficult target for others to catch. He kept fighting to survive and escaping various dangers by a hair's breadth. Until one day he encountered a tide of nuclear beasts for the first time in his life. The moment he thought his luck had run out, and he would be devoured by the creature. Unexpectedly, his benefactor appeared and saved him from the giant beast's attack. The woman holds him and complains that the beast tide made her lose her ranked match. She tells the boy to stay there and says she needs to finish this quickly. With her eyes glowing, she prepares to use her powerful golden punch against the beasts. The captain then throws a golden straight punch with incredible and devastating force. With just one blow, she takes out all the beasts, completing the 8-star mission. She then invites him to join her, and he becomes the sole member of her team. Our hero then rides his bike toward the research institute for his mission. Upon arrival, he is greeted by a man and 2 girls who were waiting for him, introduces himself as Dr. Shu, and shakes our MC's hand. He invites the young man to come in and sit down so they can talk about the mission. One of the girls offers him tea, but the young man asks for the mission details first. The doctor explains that his institute is a charity organization that helps beast women. He says that, in the last 5 years, they have sheltered and rescued hundreds of beast women. The scientist believes the prejudice against them is unfair, and that they deserve a home. To eliminate the prejudice, they research how to remove the beastly genes and transform them. The scientist reveals that the institute is facing a big problem with a nuclear beast. Therefore, they need to hire a necrophage to deal with the creature that is bothering them. Suddenly, a strong tremor shakes the building, and everyone is startled by the situation. Dr. Shu shouts that it must be the thing again, with a panicked expression. Our hero then tells everyone to stay there and rushes outside to see what's happening. Outside, 2 guards are shooting at something and shouting that the bullets are completely useless. The young man then dives to the ground for cover and is shocked by what he sees. A giant serpent with red eyes appears, and he realizes the captain totally tricked him. He warns that the snake's scales are very thick, and that shooting will only annoy it more. The creature then lets out a sonic scream, and the young man decides he needs to lure it away. He then approaches one of the guards and asks to borrow a grenade for his plan. The guards are shocked by his audacity and wonder if he's really a necrophage. Without wasting time, the young man throws the grenade toward the giant serpent's mouth. The grenade explodes right in the creature's mouth, causing considerable damage and irritating it. He then gets on his bike and gets the serpent's attention so it will follow him. The giant serpent roars in fury, its mouth full of blue energy. With that, the creature follows him away from the research institute. On his bike, he keeps throwing grenades that explode on the beast's body. The young man even cries with joy for having so many grenades to use in the fight. He lures the monster into a canyon and says the fight will end there. With a smile, he throws a bunch of grenades at the snake, like a little gift. The giant serpent faces all the explosives falling towards it. A series of huge explosions then engulfs the giant creature's body. After the smoke clears, he prepares to use an electric attack. He then jumps into the air and unleashes a powerful blue lightning slash. The electric attack hits the giant serpent dead-on, causing a lot of damage. At that moment, the young man observes the creature and realizes his attack method is reliable. The wound on the monster's body begins to glow with a strange green light. To his surprise, the beast injury starts to heal very quickly. He is shocked by the creature's incredible regeneration ability. The giant serpent roars in pain but prepares for a new attack. The creature spits a green poisonous liquid from its mouth. The young man gets furious and complains that it's using poison, a dirty tactic. At that, the serpent's venom melts everything it touches and turns into a pool of acid. Our MC's bike is completely destroyed by the creature's acid. He then realizes it's not poison, but concentrated acid, and mourns for his bike. The young man then flies into the sky and faces the giant serpent, ready for the counter-attack. Fortunately, he still has an ace up his sleeve, the falcon talisman he got earlier. For his beloved bike, he swears he will get revenge on the creature that destroyed it. With the talisman's power, he flies quickly and promises to get more crystals from it. He then envelopes himself in blue energy and prepares for a powerful attack. Several energy slashes hit the giant serpent's body, causing a lot of damage. The creature feels the wounds and its body slowly begins to fall apart. He comments that the serpent is tougher than diamond, but now it's all over. The young man then lands on the ground and observes the defeated beast's nuclear crystal. Suddenly, he notices the creature's eye is crying and is surprised. His bracelet then glows with a very intense and mysterious blue light. At that, the serpent transforms into a woman with a snake tail and blue hair. With his enhanced vision, he can analyze the situation more clearly. He then prepares to deliver the final blow and complete the mission once and for all. With a quick and precise slash, he finishes the creature with his energy blade. The snake woman's body then dissolves into a pool of purple liquid on the ground. Then, the young man informs the doctor that only the creature's tail was left in the end. The scientist thanks him and transfers the $20,000 reward to him. Our hero asks why a giant nuclear beast appeared in such a safe area. The doctor replies that it's not uncommon for that to happen and tells him not to worry. The scientist then offers him the company of 2 girls to relax a bit. But the young man becomes suspicious and asks if the institute offers that kind of service. He then accuses him of offering an illegal service with beast women and glares at him angrily. The doctor gets desperate and says it's all consensual, just a thank you for protecting them. With a mischievous smile, he has a bold idea and asks for all the maids to be brought in. The doctor is confused but agrees to arrange the girls for him immediately. Our hero then sits on the floor surrounded by 6 beast women dressed as maids. They all introduce themselves and say they are very happy to be able to serve him. Bracelet glowing, he says he's not feeling their happy vibe. He tells them to stop pretending and prepares to use a power. A lightning curse then strikes all the maids, who scream in pain on the floor. The scientist then enters a secret room, his eyes glowing mysteriously. Inside, he observes several tubes with beast women trapped for his experiments. In a larger tube, he regrets making his daughter wait because of the nuclear beast. He then approaches and promises that he can finally bring her back to life. Suddenly, our hero appears and says, "So that's why the beast attacked me." The doctor is startled and asks what he's doing in their rescue room. Tired of the lies, the young man lands a powerful punch on the scientist, filled with rage. The doctor then gives up pretending and says, since he insists on meddling, he'll show his hand. With an evil smile, the scientist reveals he pressed an alarm button on his phone. The maids stand up with red eyes and surround him, ready to attack on his command. But the young man reveals that he has already lost control over them and shows the broken collars. The doctor is shocked, as removing the collars should have made their heads explode. Then, the young man says the beast women are now his people and have already told him all of his dirty secrets. He reveals that the scientist lured beast women to the institute and imprisoned them there. The electronic collars could deliver shocks or even make their heads blow up. He used the beast women as guinea pigs for forbidden enhancement drugs. Our hero confronts him, saying he's the one who harms the beast women he claims to protect the most. Desperate, the doctor denies everything and says he did it all because of what happened that day. In a flashback, he explains that he wanted to help beast women and couldn't stand seeing them being oppressed. In a dark alley, the young doctor prepares to attack a man with a brick. With a direct hit, he strikes the man in the head to protect a beast woman. He then picks her up and takes her to a safe place, away from the city's dangers. He became a biologist, got married, and had his own daughter with his wife. After years of research, he finally managed to crack the genetic code of the beast women. But everything fell apart when he received a desperate call and rushed out of the lab. The beast women lost their minds from his drug, and by the time he arrived, it was too late. Desperate, he holds his injured daughter in his arms and promises he won't let her go. From then on, his research became about saving his daughter, no longer about helping beast women. To pay for her life support, he allied himself with an underground organization. He then began to extract materials from beast women to produce drugs and enhancers. The drugs were sold on the black market, and he ended up becoming the very thing he hated most. But he finally found a way to save her through gene fusion. The method was simple, but finding a genetically compatible beast woman was almost impossible. He then remembers that the white snake woman escaped and knocked over many of his goods. The genetic compatibility of that snake woman was 99%. Just as he was about to start the fusion, the giant titan serpent appeared and messed everything up. The fusion process is long and cannot have any mistakes, so he needed to get rid of the serpent first. Now that our hero has defeated the creature, he can finally begin the fusion and revive his daughter. With an evil smile, the doctor orders the gene fusion to begin via his phone, and the system confirms the process has started. Inside the lab, the scientist reveals that the genetic fusion has already begun and can no longer be stopped. So the MC yells for his companions to save the kids before their life force is completely drained. He explains that destroying the power source now will only make things worse, so the only thing to do is wait. Suddenly, our hero is caught off guard by something unexpected happening right in front of him and wonders what's going on. Looking inside the capsule, he sees that the two arms seem to be starting to link together. At that moment, the bodies of the two young women begin to merge in a grotesque way as the process advances. The scientist watches it all with a satisfied look, but our hero feels that something is just not right with the procedure. With the girl's face contorts in pure agony, and her eyes glow as the fusion nears completion. Soon, the process goes horribly wrong, and the scientist realizes it's a case of genetic rejection. A dense smoke then envelops the girls and their bodies. Desperate, the man in the lab coat screams that if they don't stop the fusion, the girl named Zi Qing will turn into a monster. But suddenly the laboratory ceiling begins to crack apart. Right after, a giant pale hand smashes through the fractured ceiling. A massive creature then appears and starts trying to rip out the main power cables from the machine. Seeing this, our protagonist flashes a confident grin because this was exactly what he wanted to happen. He says he didn't eliminate her, he just cut off her tail before leaving her. The woman asks why he only did that, and the MC replies that he already knew her true intentions. The story begins after a nuclear war caused the forest animals to undergo bizarre mutations. A small green serpent approached the humans, was attacked, and luckily, a young doctor saved it. Years later, the rescued little girl met her savior again, who had become a famous researcher of the year. With this, the young serpent got the idea to repay the kindness the man had shown her. So, the white serpent joined her friend, and the two snuck into the research institute. But instead of surprising the doctor, they were the ones who got a shock and fell into a trap. The green-haired girl tried to escape, but it was too late as she was captured by the guards. Her companion fought bravely to save her but accidentally knocked over several chemical products. The combined effects of the toxins caused the white serpent to mutate and attack everyone. When the creature woke up, she had already destroyed the forest and had become giant and powerful. She went to the institute but didn't harm anyone, hoping the doctor would help the green serpent. What she didn't know was that the person who put her friend in danger was the scientist himself. Ironically, the one risking his life to save the girl now is our hero, and not the supposed benefactor. The scientist panics when he sees the giant monster unleashing its furious aura. Elsewhere, a pink-haired woman wakes up, annoyed by someone knocking on her door in the morning. Upon opening the door, she's greeted by a cute, green-haired little girl saying hi. The woman is confused, wondering where this child came from and if she walked into the wrong place. Right after, our hero shows up and says he's back from the mission with an unexpected reward. Hours earlier, the experiment was interrupted thanks to the efforts of the white titan serpent that freed them. The procedure's failure, Xu Qing, the doctor's daughter, surprisingly regained consciousness. After waking up, the young woman revealed a shocking truth to the scientist holding her in his arms. She tells him that the real killer of her family was a shadowy figure covered in tentacles. At this, the doctor realizes he blamed the wrong person and caused terrible harm because of his obsession. His last hope was to fuse the girl's genes, but the lab's power suddenly went out. To provide energy, the protagonist uses his last thunder talisman for the genetic repair. Even though it was his last resort, he knew that saving the young women was his top priority. Back in the present, he finishes explaining the story to the pink-haired woman in the messy room. She then asks if the mission's reward was the little half-human, half-beast girl in his lap. He explains that if the girl is left alone, she might not make it, so he wants to train her to join their team. His partner then accepts the idea and decides to give the newcomer a name, since she'll be living with them now. She names her Little Leopard, but the girl says she already has a name, and our hero thinks the nickname is weird. The pink-haired woman warns that nobody gets a free ride there, so the little girl will take care of all the house chores. Right after settling things with the newbie, our hero went to sleep, cuddling a huge nuclear serpent crystal. He then wakes up and notices his hair has grown a ton overnight. At this, the guy is completely shocked, with no idea what's happening. Looking up, he sees a woman and asks what she's doing on top of him like that. She replies that she wants to practice a special cultivation with him to recover and refine better treasures. Our hero has a flashback of the two of them exchanging power and wonders what this dual cultivation thing is. The young woman says that since he benefited from the power exchange, he now needs to show her the results. His partner asks the sect master to use the crystal to refine a high-level treasure. The woman then uses her ability and creates a kind of purple, shadowy spirit in her hand. Suddenly, the giant shadow appears in front of him, and the warrior is surprised, not knowing what it is. The shadow takes the form of the MC, and the woman wonders if the treasure recognized its master on its own. The purple energy then begins to materialize and course through our hero's entire left arm. The same energy rises up his body and transforms into a circular detail on his chest. He is now wearing a new set of robes, and his partner congratulates him on the creation of the new garment. She says the suit absorbs light and allows the user to move without being seen or detected. Suddenly, we see the woman, looking exhausted on the floor, asking the sect master to let her go. He says the items are good, but his partner complains that the creation process was way too tiring. The guy then tells her to rest and says he'll take the other two to dig up that so-called evil soil. The woman then gives a mischievous smile as she watches her sect master walk away. Outside, there's a pit in the middle of a dark valley, completely filled with bodies. From this pit emerges a white-haired woman who finally breathes fresh air after centuries. At this, a red-haired girl complains about the smell, and the hero tells them to stop fighting and hurry up. One of the women then grabs a bit of dirt from the ground to analyze it and see if the soil is useful. The red-haired woman explains that the earth here is useless because it hasn't absorbed the resentment. Suddenly, one of the girls notices something and warns that a creature is coming their way. The white-haired one then tells everyone to hide because something is very close to them. A bizarre creature emerges at the top of the mountain of bodies. The monster stretches its neck strangely and seems to catch a different scent in the air. She changes her form and says she smelled a living person but can't find anyone nearby. At this, the creature leaves, as it needs to find a new disciple before being used as a sacrifice. After she moves away, our hero uses his ability and emerges from the pile of bodies unseen. He then undoes the invisibility spell and removes the hood of his new, powerful shadow cloak. He comments that the creature was looking for a new disciple. His new suit saved him from a direct confrontation with that bizarre-looking woman. The monster's appearance also helped him figure out where to find the real evil soil he was looking for. The previous creature guides a group of people to a gate, saying that there they will find eternal happiness. The two women infiltrate the group, and one of them asks if going in there isn't just walking into a trap. The white-haired one tells her not to worry, as she already has a plan, and the master just needs to follow her. Once inside, the creature seems to lock a large padlock. The woman then tells everyone to rest and await instructions from the sect master. One of the girls offers to go with the master, but the other says he should be careful if he goes alone. He tells them not to worry because he knows the place and asks them to act as soon as he gives the signal. The place is under a spell, and the longer one stays there, the more intense the spatial distortion becomes. According to the memories of the previous owner, the place he's looking for should be at the end of that corridor. Suddenly, he hears a noise and in his cat form, his fur stands on end. The MC feels a sinister pressure and gets major goosebumps from the approaching presence. Skin creature with a long neck appears and stares at him with its bright, empty purple eyes. The monster doesn't see him because the cat used invisibility, and the creature wonders why no one is there. The spell drains a lot of energy, and since his cultivation is low, he needs to hurry before he's completely drained. He finally reaches his destination and comes across a cave filled with bizarre figures and bodies. Two strange beings guide people to a portal, promising a life without pain or suffering. But the cat knows this story of ascending to a better place is actually a huge scam. The place is a soul-sacrificing furnace, filled with evil energy and resentment. The furnace's evil fire is as cold as ice but causes an intense burning sensation to the touch. He grabs some of the soil and decides to leave before his energy is completely drained. Suddenly, the protagonist is enveloped by a purple aura and begins to float, not understanding what's happening. He wonders if the furnace affects more than just souls. As expected, his spiritual energy runs out, and he can no longer maintain his form. The purple aura pulls him down, and in his human form, he believes his end has finally come. He tries to resist with all his might, but the suction power of that pillar is too strong. The souls surround him, and he realizes that if this continues, he'll be refined by the soul-sacrificing furnace. With no other choice, the warrior prepares to use his bow, but something unexpected happens. Suddenly, a green-colored spirit appears and touches him, asking if the warrior can really see her. He's surprised and asks how a soul like her isn't being refined and also who she is. The woman hushes him and reveals she's different from the others because she is the artifact spirit of the furnace. She says his abilities are incredible, and since his aura isn't evil, she proposes a deal. The young woman introduces herself as Xiao Jing and reveals she was the guardian treasure of an ancient sect called Zhuan Dan. Her ability allowed her to refine demons and monsters, turning them into various immortal pills. Besides pills for cultivation, she could also refine rare items that granted divine abilities. Peace, however, didn't last, as an evil tribulation destroyed the sect, and she fell into the wrong hands. Ancestor Wudong sealed her and turned her into the soul-sacrificing furnace to refine evil pills. The woman asks for help to remove the divine needle that pins her down so she can finally be free. She offers to be his artifact spirit and fulfill all his requests. Our hero gets flustered and tells her to stop talking about repayment and just confirm one thing first. He mentions the huge pillar, and the young woman confirms that it is the divine needle pinning her down. The guy says he has no choice because if he doesn't help her, he'll end up trapped forever too. She says that only by removing the pillar, which is the main body of the needle, can she be freed. He reassures her, saying he doesn't want her body, and at the moment doesn't know how to get her out of this situation. So she gets closer and touches the protagonist. Then the girl pulls him from the pillar and holds onto him. He tells her not to let go yet or she'll be sucked back in, and asks her to leave the rest to him. With that, our hero summons his great Tianyuan treasure to assist in the difficult removal. The giant sword then strikes the pillar, but it ricochets off. The two fall silent for a moment as they process the difficulty of the task ahead. For this, he summons the whip of the true word, preparing to use all his strength. The warrior then uses his whip to try and rip out the enormous energy pillar, but nothing happens. The spirit asks if the MC is okay, and he says he'll have to use the pill fire crow he refined. The guy thinks he wanted to save his items, but using one to help the girl seems worth it. But he corrects himself, saying she's not just a girl, but a vessel that can create even more items. With a burst of power, the warrior finally manages to break the huge energy pillar. She asks why her body is so hot, and he replies that the effects of the pill are starting to kick in. With all his strength, he grabs the energy pillar with his bare hands, causing cracks with his fingers. He strains with all his might to pull out the divine needle that traps the girl in that dark place. The warrior finally destroys the pillar of chains, and the young spirit is now completely free. The woman is now free from the chains, and her body returns to normal as the needle is removed from her chest. The young woman hugs him in gratitude, but the warrior is confused by the spirit's reaction. He ignores the threat and thinks that the priority now is to figure out a way to get out of this entire place. Suddenly, a bizarre creature appears, calling him a thief and saying he won't get out of there alive. Meanwhile, the bizarre creature appears and observes, wondering why the thief looks so familiar. At this, our hero realizes they made too much noise and ended up waking the marrow scent cultivator. Their secret art turns them into monsters, and he only has one shot to take out all the enemies. At this, the creature remembers something and says she was the one who tossed him aside the last time they met. She's surprised the thief is still alive and wonders how he survived the soul furnace. He begs the immortal lady to spare his life. The evil entity stares at him and asks what treasure he brought for her to see, and if she can profit from it. Suddenly, the guy sees an opening and prepares to strike with his flaming fist, not about to waste it. Our hero then fires a powerful beam of fire at the creature, using all his strength in the attack. Huge bang, the bizarre creature is smashed to the ground, and a small version of it becomes enraged. The monster on the ground notices a golden glow coming from its chest and wonders what that light is. Xiao Jing explains that it's the golden marrow fragrant bone, and all its power is stored inside. The warrior then grabs the item, and the spirit tells him to take it and leave. He says the strength pills effect has worn off, but he got an extra prize and decides to bounce. Luckily, our hero's spiritual energy has recovered, and in his cat form, he plans to regroup. The creature's body disintegrates, and its soul turns into a fly, vowing to get revenge on our hero. Meanwhile, his companions wait outside, and one of them complains that they have no sense of danger. The red-haired woman complains that the other one sleeps like a log in a dangerous place like this. The fly-like soul then approaches the red-haired woman. Annoyed by the insect's buzzing, she tries to swat the fly and complains about where these bugs are coming from. With that, the creature approaches the body of the white-haired woman sleeping on the ground. The fly lands on the sleeping girl's face and says that this vessel isn't half bad. The redhead isn't fooled and readies a powerful slap to hit the fly. Direct hit, she manages to knock the fly soul off her friend's face. Haired woman then wakes up confused and wonders what happened, as she felt a powerful blow. At this she worries, thinking the sect leader might be in trouble, and if the battle has already started. The white-haired one wakes up and tells her friend to calm down, but the other notices her strange behavior. Her friend says the centipede is skilled, and they should use that to escape and then eliminate him. Our hero informs them he got the earth element and tells the two to meet him at the exit. Suddenly, a bizarre creature appears and compliments the woman, saying he likes naughty girls like them. He introduces himself as the centipede and invites the two to his room, which is much more comfortable. Her friend says the centipede is skilled, and they should use that to escape and then eliminate him. With a flushed face, the monster says he likes the way she talks. The woman then jumps and delivers a powerful kick to the centipede, telling him to behave. The monster is thrown with great force and splatters on the ground after the girl's powerful kick. The redhead says she's tired of talking and wants to fight, but her friend complains that she blew their cover. The white-haired one agrees to fight and says to divide the treasures the sect master gave them. The red-haired woman looks at the equipment and picks up one of the grenades to inspect it. She's amazed by the item and calls it a giant immortal pill, saying the feeling is incredible. Her companion then offers all the pills to her and says she'll stick with her bow and arrow. The red girl accepts the offer with a smile and holds the firearm with great excitement. Suddenly, the creature gets up furious and asks who these two sassy girls are. The monster then transforms and several arms sprout from its head as it says it was almost fooled. Seeing this, the redhead yells for her friend named Liuli to get out of the way because they're going all out. The enemy opens its giant mouth to devour them, but the girl shouts that she's not going to be his dinner. She says there's no point in hiding anymore and tells her friend to go find the leader while she fights. The white-haired one starts to disappear, and the other yells for her not to kick the bucket before getting revenge for the slap. Alone, the redhead realizes she won't be able to hold on and brings one of the grenade-shaped pills to her mouth. But she remembers the master's divine pill and thinks that with it, the fight could turn in her favor. The girl then swallows the pill and covers her mouth to keep it from escaping. Suddenly, the item explodes with tremendous force, creating a large cloud of smoke. All the dust, we see the silhouette of the girl, still standing and apparently fine. The monster opens its giant mouth, preparing to attack. The creature snaps its mouth shut hard after the bite. Meanwhile, the white-haired one flees the scene and runs through the dark corridors of the place. She feels that Moshe's aura has vanished and is relieved, thinking she can finally relax. The woman wonders how her friend became the #1 assassin and remembers a detail. Inside the redhead's mind, her consciousness is vulnerable and begins to fall into a deep sleep. At this, the fly soul appears and says the tables have turned, as it was almost killed by the girl. The creature says it will take this unique chance to devour her consciousness and take her body. However, a shadowy hand emerges and grabs the small soul before it can do anything. An evil entity appears and wonders what an insect is doing in Mingxia's sea of consciousness. Without a second thought, the demonic figure crushes the small soul in its hand with force. With that, the redhead takes on a new form and says that the feeling of crushing insects is great. The demonic entity floats above the redhead. At this, the two consciousnesses collide in an intense and brilliant explosion of light. Meanwhile, the woman's physical body is grabbed by several strange hands in a nightmare. Back in her mind, the girl's new form lets out a roar of pure fury with its purple eyes. Outside, the giant monster slowly recovers after devouring her. He says it's a waste to devour her, but she brought this on herself, and now he'll go after the other one. However, he's shocked as a fist bursts out of his stomach. Suddenly, his body begins to suffer simultaneous blows from the inside out, leaving the creature confused. The girl's demonic form emerges and tears the monster's body to pieces effortlessly. She says she was trapped for centuries and didn't expect the enemy to be so fragile and weak. On the ground, a bizarre hand with an eye in its palm is all that's left of the monster after the attack. The warrior looks at the limb and realizes it's the base of her opponent's power. Without a second thought, she steps on and crushes the hand with the eye under her foot with great force. She then says she first needs to take a look around to know where she is now. The hand scurries away quickly. Meanwhile, the hand with the eye in its palm hides from her. Suddenly, the MC in black cat form appears and pokes the hand with the eye in its palm with his paw. The MC wonders why the hand is so familiar, and the spirit confirms it's Baizu's power base. Elsewhere, the white-haired woman searches for the exit, but can't find it anywhere. She realizes the corridor seems endless and wonders what's happening. Suddenly, a voice startles her, asking if she thinks she can just walk away. The young woman turns and sees the cultivator meditating and wonders where he came from. At this, she's enveloped in a blue aura and thinks it might be a ghost wall. The warrior then summons her bow and says she doesn't care what he is. The woman fires a blue energy arrow towards the enemy. The projectile hits the man's head, which seems to deform after the impact. However, he soon recovers and calmly says that she's asking for it with this attitude. His body turns into a green smoke and moves mysteriously, appearing in front of her. His hand has pierced through her abdomen, and he says she will now reap what she has sown. The hand then strikes her with fourth force, and the girl spits blood, feeling the impact of the blow. The man stares at the woman and asks if she infiltrated the sect on purpose, since her power is great. The white-haired young woman responds with a smile and says his question doesn't matter because he's already a goner. He's confused by her answer and then wonders what she means by goner. Several disgusting tentacles then emerge and bind the girl as the man says she will talk. He lifts her into the air and says that since she won't cooperate, there's no reason to let her live. The tentacles then, holding her in its fists, carry her at high speed. While holding her, he asks if she would like to stay with him. Then, he brings the girl closer and comments that it was good fortune to have found her. Still trapped, but her entire body begins to emanate a blue energy. Soon, her body starts to glow with energy, making it shine as if it were shattering. The ghost's illusion breaks and he is in shock for not having noticed the high-level technique. A small version of him appears and wonders how the woman also knows how to use the ghost technique. She looks down on him and reveals she used the ability just to make him come out of hiding. The woman then explains that his technique is just an imitation of the Ascending Dragon clan's secret art. He introduces himself as Takeshu and says that since their abilities are similar, they should team up. He invites her to join the sect, but she says she doesn't play with people who are about to meet their end. At this, the ghost gets angry and says that if that's how it is, he won't waste any more words on her. The creature then uses its technique, and its body contorts into a bizarre form with multiple arms. With multiple heads, the enemy charges quickly towards the girl to attack with full force. However, the white-haired woman is unfazed, and her body begins to glow with a blue aura. She transforms, and now with dragon horns, she prepares to fight. The enemy is shocked and wonders how she's from the dragon clan, which he thought was extinct. Enveloped in her powerful aura, she uses her bow against the creature. With a swift strike, the young woman fires a powerful energy beam that hits the ghost head on. He scoffs, saying the technique is useless and that she already tried to use that same move before. However, the shot was so clean that even he hadn't felt the hole in his forehead. Taiksu's head dissolves, and he screams that it's impossible as he is defeated. He explains that her dragon blood nullifies illusions and that has never worked on her. So, in reality, the creature itself was the one caught in an illusion. After half of his body also dissolves, something bizarre emerges from it, leaving her confused. The warrior notices that the enemy's power base is just a piece of a stone dragon's tail. Suddenly, red energy chains bind her, and she hears a strange sound near her ear. Elsewhere, her demonic partner is also affected by the sound and screams in pure agony. The redhead complains that her head is hurting a lot because of the noise she can't stop hearing. With that, our hero holds his unconscious companion while the hand is tied up. He wonders what that sound was that even Mingxia couldn't handle and wants to know where Lili is. The little spirit appears and warns that the sound is a sign that Patriarch Wutong is coming out of his seclusion. She explains that he absorbs blood for his cultivation, and his aura is now strong enough to confuse minds. The guy gets annoyed because they stand no chance against the Patriarch, but he can't leave Lili behind. At this, the spirit says she has a plan but needs the hero's full cooperation, who asks for more details. All embarrassed, the little creature says that for the plan to work, they need to perform dual cultivation. The protagonist is shocked and questions if they're really going to do that in this awful place. She says no, and that the cultivation will be done inside his body as a blue light hits him. His body then begins to glow, and the guy is transported to a kind of spiritual realm. He asks where he is, and she explains that this is her spiritual realm and the only place for the cultivation. She says his spiritual realm is ideal for the immortal cultivation they are about to begin. The spirit reveals that she refined the golden lotus base using the fragrant bone of the Taoist he defeated. With this, he can absorb and convert all the enemy's remaining cultivation power using the lotus. Furthermore, the item can amplify the effects of cultivation several times over after he tempers his body. When the process is complete, the guy will immediately advance to the Q refinement stage. He wonders if this is what it feels like to cultivate, as a warm and pleasant energy flows through his body. His partner hugs him and says he has already advanced and that the golden lotus base has been completely depleted. The little creature reveals that she secretly stored part of the cultivation power from the souls she refined. She says she will transfer all this accumulated power directly to our young hero. She warns that it might be a little painful at first and asks him to hang in there through the process. With a smile, the spirit says she will now help him form his own Tao foundation. In the real world, the hero's body floats while the hand on the ground seems to sense the power shift. Suddenly, the bizarre hand stirs and manages to break free from the ropes that bound it to the ground. With that, the weird object is now completely free and seems ready to escape the place. However, the dragon woman appears and stares at the hand, wondering if that's the chubby guy's power base. The dragon woman sees the unconscious hero and the hand trying to flee, then wonders what happened. Without hesitation, she moves in and attacks the hand that is on top of her unconscious red-haired partner on the ground. The warrior lands a powerful kick right in the middle of her partner's face to hit the hand. Soon she wakes up while the protagonist remains unconscious, with quite a sassy expression on his face. At this, red energy chains emerge from nowhere, indicating that the real villain has finally arrived. The evil energy surrounds the two girls, who look scared at the dangerous situation before them. The reed head then becomes apprehensive and wonders about the origin of that strange echoing noise. Her wired partner is also startled and doesn't know what that mysterious, loud sound is. Giant soul projection appears, and the girl wonders why he's so big. The giant entity then asks which miserable rat dared to disturb his secluded cultivation. Lily notices that the master is still unconscious and prepares to fight, even with little energy. Her partner comments that she's not sure if her strength will be enough to help in the tough fight. The young dragon then gives a slight smile as if she has a plan for this complicated situation. With that, the two decide to join forces and combine their auras for a powerful attack against the creature's hand. They then fire a massive energy beam towards the enemy's soul projection. The powerful blow pierces the creature's hand, but it somehow begins to regenerate. However, the evil entity manages to compose itself. Angrily, the villain asks how they dare to disrespect him and says they won't get out of this alive. Giant energy hand, he moves to crush both warriors at once. The redhead says she didn't think she'd meet her end with her friend, and she replies they'll settle the score later. Suddenly, the protagonist appears, shrouded in a golden aura, and the girls look at him, surprised. With a new sword and immense power, the protagonist uses his small palm against the creature's immense palm. The MC then fires a golden beam of light that completely destroys the villain's attack. However, the creature recovers and projects a punch this time, saying, "How dare an ant challenge a divine tree like me?" The patriarch says that since his body was shattered, the karma between them will be settled in the underworld. The villain's fist hits the ground with tremendous force, causing a huge crack in the area. The entity then looks at the destruction on the ground and seems to be searching for something around. Suddenly, the monster realizes the three have vanished and wonders where they went. He then says their life threads are already tied and that he will find them soon. The redhead notices the master's aura and says he's close to the core formation stage. The white-haired woman realizes the master didn't pass out but was cultivating the whole time. With a serious look, the hero replies that it's a long story and he'll explain everything later. The dragon warrior asks if the cultivation is over, and he tells them to head to the sect first. He asks them not to forget to cover the pit with the bodies, because the patriarch will hunt them. The white-haired young woman says that just the bodies aren't enough, and the redhead agrees they need a spell. The dragon woman uses her ability, and her body glows with an intense blue energy. Her spell creates a magic seal over the pit to prevent anyone from finding it. Now the pit is completely covered by a mountain of bodies, and the passage is sealed. After sorting everything out, the trio finally manages to escape from that dark and dangerous place. Back at the sect, the protagonist is shocked and wonders what that is in front of him. He sees a small creature being attacked by two purple energy crows and doesn't understand a thing. One of the crows then lunges to peck the cute little creature's head with all its might. Someone yells for the other creature to stop fighting, but the brawl continues. Suddenly, two women appear and one of them asks what is going on there. One accuses the other of stealing stones, and the woman denies it, saying it was for the master's good. Our hero thinks the woman was stealing crystals to cultivate and asks what's so special about the place. The little one explains that the former master's secret room is called the One Braith Pavilion. Her companion gets annoyed and asks how the other knew about the place, but she says it was just an accident. With a smile, the guy asks them not to steal any more stones, because they have more important things to do. He hands the remaining nuclear crystals to Xiao Shan for her to summon new disciples for the sect. The little one is also responsible for supervising Huya so she can refine new treasures. As for his other two friends, they must ensure the vine sprout grows, as it is crucial for everyone. After giving the orders, the sect leader goes to the entrance of the pavilion, which looks like a cosmic cave. Inside, he leaves his body cultivating with the help of Xiao Jing to reach the next level of power. We see the serene look on the protagonist's face. He then closes his eyes and enters a deep state of meditation to advance his cultivation. Elsewhere, the patriarch tells his disciple that he now understands everything and he's not the only one to blame. However, the evil entity adds that even so, his servant still bears part of the responsibility. The villain says that since he sowed the karma, he will now have to reap the consequences of his own actions. A bizarre monster then emerges and pierces the disciple's remains to absorb all his energy. The villain says the crimson larva will help the disciple rebuild his physical body. His disciple is reborn, but his new form is completely bizarre and terrifying. The villain warns that the body only lasts for a day, and he must capture the three to make it last longer. Suddenly, elsewhere, we see an orange-haired guy flying with a jetpack in the desert. He brags that his second-hand jetpack flies at 1,200 kilometers per hour. Suddenly, our hero easily overtakes him, and the other guy is completely shocked. The other one wonders what kind of jet that is and decides to chase the protagonist to get a look. Our hero thinks that his cultivation allows him to fly with his sword, and he no longer needs vehicles to move. The most surprising thing is that his cultivation is synchronized with his body from the apocalyptic world. He then arrives at a city and decides he'll take care of his main task first. The orange-haired guy then catches up to him and lands on the ground right behind him. Wanting to get there first, he runs past the protagonist and enters the building. A woman greets them and explains that the low-rank missions are on the first floor. The guy then brags that he's rank C, but in a year will be taking missions on the second floor. The protagonist ignores the other guy and orders a beer and a meal from the receptionist. The bartender stylishly pours a beer and asks if Little Sing came to turn in his mission. With a smile, our MC compliments the man's skills and says it's a waste to use them there. The attendant says he's old and likes the job but praises the protagonist for his recent feats. Our hero says it was luck and that he's still a poor C-rank hunter as always. The other guy is stunned and wonders how a C-ranker did all that alone and if he has a special item. The man at the bar says the mission paid 5,000 coins and that the guy shouldn't be broke. The protagonist explains that his captain takes the biggest cut, and now he wants a tougher mission. He thinks that his goal is to defeat the creatures and collect crystals because the patriarch will return. His disciples haven't recovered yet, so he needs to gather items to prepare for the future. The attendant says the captain is greedy, but C-rankers can't take on difficult missions alone. The orange-haired guy is shocked to learn that the protagonist's captain is the famous Fan Xiaoyu. He then approaches our hero and asks if the two of them would like to form a team. The other guy introduces himself as Luo Lishan and extends his hand to the protagonist with a smile. Our hero thinks that the other guy's team has 350 members and accepts the proposal. Luo Lishan says he's heard about his feats and that he's impressive and doesn't need to be modest. The bartender says they won't be able to, as the rule for the mission is a team of 3. Suddenly, a cute girl appears and asks if the duo is still looking for a team member. She introduces herself as Ling Yu, a C-rank hunter from the Sakura team, and offers to join. With a smile, Luo Lishan accepts right away and welcomes the new team member. Now with a full team, they ask the bartender for a mission recommendation to get started. The protagonist then asks for a difficult mission with lots of monsters and, if possible, a boss at the end. The attendant comments that his reckless attitude reminds him of his captain, but he has a mission. He shows a 3-star mission about tracking lost children in a ghost forest. According to the man at the bar, the place used to be peaceful, but now they say the forest is haunted. Without a second thought, our hero slams the counter and says they accept the mission right away. With that, a screen confirms the team formation and the acceptance of the dangerous forest mission. Lishan is worried, but the MC says that with him there, there's nothing to fear, and his sword will solve everything. The attendant warns that the problem isn't the ghosts, but the time, as the children are already missing. He shows a map with 3 routes and explains that 2 of them are fast but very dangerous. The third option is safe but would take more than 10 hours, which would be too late for the children. The new girl then timidly says that she has a solution to the problem. At this, she shows a glowing shrimp in her hands, looking very proud of the item. Outside, she holds the shrimp and calls for Xiaolan, offering its favorite snack. Then she raises the shrimp to the sky and a huge blue energy emerges, indicating the summoning. With that, a gigantic blue energy well appears from the heavens, impressing everyone. They are shocked by the whale, and she explains that, given its size, it's just a baby. Our hero is impressed as it's the fastest creature in existence, and the other guy can only think about the price. The young woman explains that the whale can only fly at high altitudes, so they need to go up. Our hero then carries the girl in his arms, and the other guy wonders why she didn't fly with him. Once on top of the whale, the other guy comments that it's strange because the flight is stable and doesn't even feel fast. She explains that the whale is slow but can take shortcuts, and then tells the creature to get ready. With that, the young woman yells for the creature to go, and blue lightning begins to surround everyone. The whale then dives into a spatial rift. With that, they travel through a kind of wormhole with space all distorted. Our hero wonders if it's a spatial distortion and feels a familiar evil energy nearby. The whale's shortcut takes them directly to the Void Forest, a dark place filled with purple mist. The whale leaves them there, and the group lands in the dark forest to begin their dangerous mission. Our hero comments that the forest has always been peaceful, so it's strange for a whole class to disappear inside it. His new partner comments that the atmosphere there is sinister and reminds her of a terrible local legend. Surprised, the two guys ask their new companion what this scary story is. She explains that in the past, the place was known as the Forest of Miracles for its abundance. Because of this, the place was rich in resources, so several human survivors built a village there. The place was inhabited by beastmen who were very friendly to the newly arrived humans. However, one night, the humans were attacked, and their bodies were hung from the trees as a warning. A team was sent to investigate, and the beastmen were hunted as the main suspects. The scariest part is that a ghost watched everything, and only a little girl could see it. The orange-haired guy says the girl must have been scared because ghosts don't exist in this world. Ling Yu then replies no, and that the little girl was definitely not mistaken about it. She reveals that that little girl is now her captain, and she was the one who told her everything personally. Lu Lishan is shocked to learn that her captain is a shaman, and our hero thinks that if there are ghosts, it will be easy. Annoyed, the young woman says her captain is not a shaman, but a spirit seer. Suddenly, the silhouette of a child appears, running through the dark and scary forest. The protagonist notices something is there, and the other guy warns that it looks like a student, and they start to follow it. At this, the figure enters a huge building through a broken window, and disappears inside. The team is shocked to see a school building in the middle of the forest and wonders if it's real. The girl then gets scared when she sees the silhouette of another student on the upper floor of the building. With that, our hero yells for everyone to get inside quickly and check what's happening. However, as they approach, the school doors suddenly slam shut with tremendous force, leaving them in complete shock after the sound of the door slamming. Right after, vines with a green glow emerge and envelop the entire school building. Soon, the strange vines completely take over the school.